All right. You look like you're pretty agile there, Steve.
I'm getting there.
Good, good. All right, so Stephanie, is there anyone in the waiting room?
No, sir.
All right. Well, in that case, even if there was, but especially since there's not, we'll just jump into it. We don't have to wait for anybody else. I'm going to call this meeting to order. This is an agenda conference of the Borough of North Plainfield. Uh, Ms. Sherwood, would you give us, and thank you for filling in this evening. We appreciate that very much, especially since we didn't have a meeting 2 weeks ago. So we kind of especially needed to have one tonight. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Oh, and you and Genesis, thanks for putting this, I know there was a lot of extra work putting this together and everything. So thank you both.
Thank you, Genesis.
No,
Okay.
thank
If we could, when you get a chance, Ms. Sherwood, if you could give us a roll call of our membership, please.
Sure. Council members Corzo,
Present.
Given,
Present.
Vice President McIntyre,
Here.
Everett Merrill is absent and excused.
Mm-hmm.
Councilwoman Miller,
Here.
Councilwoman Schaefer,
Present.
and Council President Stabile.
Present.
So we have 6 members and a quorum.
Excellent, thank you. So since we can conduct business, first thing we'll do is pledge allegiance to the flag. And Council Vice President McIntyre has one behind him. So we can stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Everyone, please be seated. And the statement of compliance is, this is a meeting of the Council of the Borough of North Plainfield scheduled by resolution of the Council adopted on November 10th of 2025. Adequate notice of this meeting was given pursuant to NJSA 10:4-6 at SEC, and by transmitting said notice to the Borough of North Plainfield website and to the Courier News on November 24th of 2025, and by posting a copy of this notice on the bulletin boards which are reserved for such purpose in the municipal building and in the public library. First item that we have is our annual Pride Month proclamation from the council. And for that, I'm going to turn it over to 3 councilors. I actually, I don't have it in front of me, so I don't know who goes first, but I assume 3 of you do. So, all right, Ms. Corzo, take it away, please.
Thank you. Whereas the Borough of North Plainfield cherishes the value and dignity of each person and appreciates the importance of equality and freedom, and whereas all are welcome in North Plainfield to live, work, and play, and every family in any definition deserves a place to call home where they are safe, happy, and supported by friends and neighbors. And whereas Pride Month began in June of 1970 on the 1-year anniversary of the Stonewall Uprising in New York City, after LGBTQ plus and ally friends rose up and fought against the constant police harassment and discriminatory laws. And
Whereas the Borough of North Plainfield denounces prejudice and unfair discrimination based on age, gender identity, gender expression, race, color, religion, marital status, national origin, sexual orientation, or physical attributes, and whereas North Plainfield appreciates the cultural, civic, and economic contributions of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, plus LGBTQ plus community, which strengthens our social welfare, and whereas celebrating Pride Month raises awareness and provides support and advocacy for the LGBTQ plus community and is an opportunity to become educated, engage in dialogue, strengthen alliances, and build understanding, and
whereas it is imperative that young people in our community, regardless of sexual orientation, gender identity, and expression, feel valued, safe, empowered, and supported by their peers and their community. And whereas, despite being marginalized, LGBTQ plus people continue to celebrate authenticity, acceptance, and love. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that we, the council members of the Borough of North Plainfield, do hereby declare June as LGBTQ plus Pride Month and urge residents to recognize the contributions made by the members of the LGBTQ plus community and to actively promote the principles of equality, liberty, and justice this month and always.
Excellent. Well done. Well, and Mr. McIntyre, I like your border and everything. Well done.
It's a nice border. It looks good.
Well, thank you all for that. And I'm very pleased that this has become an annual event for us at the council. It's not very showy. It's not a flag raising. And unfortunately, there's aren't members of the public here, but I'm proud that this is something we do nonetheless, because it still sends an important message, I feel. So thank you
Agreed.
for participating in that. We have Ms. Sherwood, if you could just make sure, double check, there's no one in the waiting to come in. Okay. Well, normally, just for the record, this would have been for public comment. Technically, it still could be because anyone here can speak if they choose to. So we open the floor now to public comment. If anyone wishes to make any comment, please indicate your desire to do so. I think we all know the format. You'd have up to 5 minutes to do it. And please just give us your name, spell your last name for us, and give us your address. Does anyone wish to speak? Okay, all right, very good. In that case, we will move on right to the first item and the only item of new business. That's presentation of a proposed capital budget. For that, I'll turn it over to the mayor and the administrator. I don't know if the mayor wants to preface this or right to Mr. Holland.
You got it, Dave.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Skip. I just wanted to, I'll go through the capital budget. You should all have a copy of it. We do this generally every year, make a capital budget presentation, which will ultimately, with your approval, manifest itself into two capital budget ordinances. One specifically for the sewer projects, and the second one would be for everything else, the general capital budget. Just to give you a little bit of a background on this, the current budget that was adopted a couple months ago allows us to put down a down payment that would accommodate up to a $4.7 million capital ordinance. We're nowhere near that. We're just under $3 million with the items and projects that are proposed here. We have a borough debt that was at the end of last year, which represents about just under 1% of the total valuation of the town. The state generally allows a permissible debt limit of up to 3.5% of the total valuation. Looking back over the last few years, we're on the lower end of the range of where we typically are. We've never really gone much above 1%, the capital valuation. And one of the things we strive for is to be consistent, to keep the capital budget fairly consistent, planning ahead, looking down the road for what other projects will be coming up, or at least what the department heads would like to ask for. And I've gone through the budgets with each of the department heads. We last adopted a capital bond ordinance just last year, about the same time last year. The sewer capital budgets are basically bonded against the sewer utility, which is a separate entity from the borough council's budget. So that's why we need the two capital ordinances, one for the sewer, one for everything else. So we also look at what funding that we have received, what grant funding that we've received, and that's reflected in some of these projects. This is some, but not all of the grant funding that we have on the books at the moment, or will be applying for. Nevertheless, the budget here basically leverages just under about $0.9 million in grant money, which is helping to sustain these projects. Again, what we would look to do, we're really just looking at the 2026 column on the spreadsheet, which is the projects that we're proposing for this year, and which will be reflected in the capital ordinances that would be drafted as a result of this. The rest of the years, the next 5 years, is basically just a look ahead, look down the road to see what major projects that we can anticipate over the next few years. So with that, I won't touch on every item that's in here, but we have some of the highlights in here that I will just touch on. One is that you'll see that there's a number of roof replacement projects, money for roof replacement projects. We had money in last year's budget for those, but we put that in there anticipating an early an early version of the cost estimate. Once the work was done on the roof design projects for the library, Borough Hall, Public Works buildings, and Vermeule, it was determined that more extensive work is needed, and those estimates had to be increased. So you'll see additional money for the roof replacements at the Public Works buildings, the two that are there, plus the municipal complex, and then also for the Vermeil Mansion. The library, we did not have to add additional money this year. They were pretty much on target with the money that we had allocated last year. And I will say, again, just as a background, that the capital budget is basically, I would liken it to a line of credit. It doesn't mean that these projects are automatically approved. They have to go through the normal bidding process or quotation process as may be, and they'll be more fully developed as the months go on. So with that, as I mentioned, the roof projects, the money that would be added here should cover the current estimate for the roof projects and maybe a little bit more. We hope that they don't find anything else that would inflate the projects. We had hoped to do the roof projects as one bid, but the library has kind of leaped to the forefront of our priorities, and as a result, it looks like that will be done as a separate project, and then the other roof projects can follow perhaps together or individually, depending on what the architect would recommend. Again, the architect has been involved in developing these early projects or these early estimates. Also, in conjunction with the roof project is the new vestibule, which would be built as part of the library. There's no money in this budget because that was appropriated in the 2025 capital budget based on the estimate there. So we figure that estimate is on target for the new vestibule and would go somewhat hand in hand with the roof project, maybe as one project, maybe as two separate projects. That's again pending the recommendation of the architect. We have also started investigation on a new building at the Vermeule complex, I'll say, to replace the old recreation building. That we're looking at next year as a possible expenditure of about $2 million should we choose to go forward with that. We've done preliminary work with the SHPO, the Historic Preservation Office, as well as the DEP Green Acres to learn what restrictions apply to that. The architect has been doing some investigations in terms of how that building would be demolished. I believe they've determined that there's asbestos shingles that would have to be disposed of in a certain way. So they're getting a handle on the total cost of the demolition of that. And again, the demolition that was appropriated in last year's budget, so you do not see money for that in here. So some of these projects that were authorized in last year, that money is still available, or rather, that line of credit is still available should we, when it's appropriate for us to tap into that. Also on here, you'll see a reference for Villa Maria Park, which I'm calling it. We received about a year and a half ago, got money from the county. And I think it's American Rescue Plan funds that the original money of funding is coming from, but they are granting us $500,000 towards the construction of a recreation path and a dog park at that site. The recreation path was put out to bid. The bid was awarded, and we had a pre-construction meeting. So that work will be starting in the next few weeks for the recreation path, and that will be a path that will go around the perimeter of the Villa Maria site, exclusive of where the affordable housing development is going in place. That path will be very attractive. There'll be benches along the way, lighting, landscaping, and exercise stations along the perimeter of that path. So it'll be a nice addition, I think, for the town, and especially the north end of the town, north of 22, where there really are no borough recreational facilities right now. And so that we're excited about that. The dog park, the plans and specs are being finalized, and I expect that that's going to be put out for bid probably within the next month. and under construction, by the end of summer. So the person that Grotto had hired to consult and do the design on that has extensive experience and recent experience with dog parks. So this will be a nice addition to the town. Also, it'll be two separate areas for dogs, one for large dogs, one for smaller dogs. There'll be a set of rules for its operation. It'll be gated, double gated, for that. And again, I think it'll be a nice addition, to the town. So basically, that $500,000 is being leveraged. We're estimating a total of no more than $1 million in total, but that'll be, dependent on where the price comes in for the dog park. The original bid came in, it was under $400,000 for the recreation path. So again, that is underway. We have other grants that we've received for the DOT funding, funded roadway improvements. Most recently, last year's grant, which is actually called the 2026 grant for Regent Street, Whitewood Avenue, that we've received a grant of $347,000 towards the total estimated cost of $520,000. That project is under design right now, and will be out for bid probably by the end of this construction season. For that. Above that, you'll see several other streets that are proposed to be done under our annual road improvement project. Somerset Street, Grandview Avenue to Lincoln Place, Harrison Avenue, it's full length, Rockview Avenue from Grove Street to Rockview Terrace. That's been roughed up quite a bit with utility work and sewer work in recent years. So that'll be done, and that'll be a part of this year's program. I said Rockview Terrace, Ayers Avenue from Rock Avenue to Harding, and Jennings Lane. So that'll all be 100% locally funded. That's what this capital budget would fund ultimately. Just going back a bit for the DOT projects, we've put in, or in the process of putting in, a grant application for the Linden Avenue, and that will be an estimated $534,000 project. We've put an application in for that, asking for the full amount. Typically, we get about half to two-thirds of what we ask for in any given year, and we've been successful, I think, virtually every year in getting a few $100,000 from the DOT for these local roadway projects. So that is that, and let me just see. We have money in there for police, fire, public works equipment. There's also money in there for stormwater maintenance and compliance. Under the miscellaneous category, we have a line for demolition of hazardous properties, and also affordable housing rehab program, which the Friends of the Carpenter has been administrating for us over the years. There's no money appropriated in this year's budget for that, because we had appropriated, I think it was 50,000 for each of those categories last year, and that was not spent. So there's no need to appropriate more money at this time. And then finally, at the end of the spreadsheets are these sewer projects. Again, reflective of the CD Block Grant program primarily. We had just this year received put in a project for Somerset Street sewer rehab for a total cost of estimate of $272,000. We've received $90,000 in funding for that from the CD Block Grant program. That's about a third of the cost of that, and that's another grant program that we've always been successful at getting money, to help sustain and repair our sewer system. We have also indicated in here some money that another $250,000 for other projects that the engineer will deem necessary, that we'll have the money to spend on those as the year progresses. So that we don't have a specific project in mind right now, but the sewer engineer is always looking for those opportunities. And I will also point out on the sewers, remind everyone that we did receive $500,000 from the county a couple of years ago to reline the sewer line along, I think it's just under 3/4 of a mile length along Greenbrook Road on the west end of town. So that was a project that we received. I think that covered more than 100% of the cost of that project. So that is that, and not reflected on these sheets are. I'm sorry, let me just back up a minute here. Another couple expenses that are coming down the line. A couple years from now, the police are looking at to replace all the vehicle and handheld radios. That would be projected to be in the 2028 budget, not in this capital budget. That will be about $450,000. And then the fire department, EMS, is looking at a new ambulance to replace a 10-year-old ambulance that we have right now in the fleet, and that would be proposed for next year's capital budget, $300,000 for that. So just to give you a sense of what may be coming down the road, and again, council has the final say on what would be appropriated in any given year. Not reflected in any of this is our two other major projects that we've got underway. We have the tree inventory, for which we received just under $900,000 in funding. We've completed phase one of that inventory, which basically has inventoried all of the trees, all the public trees in town along our right-of-ways and in some of our public spaces that is now moving into the next phase. They've developed a database for all these trees, which we'll be able to keep updated with all the work that's done on those. And the next phase is actually to do some of the pruning and trimming work that has been recommended as a result of that first phase of the study. And then once that is done, the third phase of the study is to plant additional trees. So depending on where we end up, we could have a substantial amount of money left over to plant trees throughout the entire borough. And basically we're working with the Shade Tree Advisory Board and the consultant determine where those would be most needed, and also to attempt to plant the most appropriate trees for the location that they're going in. That has been a chronic problem in the past. We've been dealing with trees that are just way too large for the site that they're in. They're heaving the sidewalks, the curbs, the roadway in some cases. So this would be an attempt to plant the appropriate trees for the location. And then finally, I'll just touch on after many months, we've just got the agreement from the state, from the EP, to proceed with the $1 million charging and fueling infrastructure grant. We had previously engaged Bryan Electric for that, but they've been on hold pending the execution of the agreement. That happened literally in the last couple weeks. So we've given Bryan Electric the go-ahead to do that, and they'll be. We've identified certain areas in town that we feel would be ripe and appropriate for electric vehicle chargers. And that would be one of the purposes of the grant is to place them where there's a higher density of housing units that might be underserved areas that don't have access to the electric vehicle charging stations. So we figure that we can put in perhaps again, this will depend on utility costs and other site costs, but we figure that we should be able to put in a dozen locations for the chargers. Each location would have 4 ports for charging cords to use. So that would be a 48 additional charging spaces in town for electric vehicles. Good thing about this is we can charge. We will get money for people who use those. That'll be charged against that. The borough will have that money as revenue, and then would be responsible for maintaining those as the years go on. So that's pretty exciting. And just coincidentally, the county has just I haven't seen it yet, but the county has just come out with electric vehicle charging report with the idea of trying to encourage electric charging, electric vehicles and charging stations throughout the county. So I was sure to let the county planners know that we were really in the forefront of this with the $1 million grant that we got from the state. And I trust that will be reflected in that report. And, we look for good things for that down the road. I think that is, regardless of politics or personal feeling, I think that is going to be the future, the electric vehicles, as more and more people adapt to these and they become more convenient to use. I think the economy and the economics are going to be driving that as much as anything else. So again, that is basically it. If I'm looking tonight for consensus on this, and then the next step would be to pass this info to our bond counsel, who would either at the next meeting or the following meeting have the ordinances in place for your consideration for introduction. And that's all I've got at this point.
Thank you. That's a lot, and thank you for it. So before I ask for a consensus on this, I'm going to ask if there are any questions for Mr. Holland on this. Mr. McIntyre, I saw your hand go up first, and Ms. Schaefer, you're after Steve.
Yeah, so I know we're focusing on the 2026 numbers, but it's really hard not to see that $2 million hit for the rec building next year. Like, is there a plan to how we're going to fund that, or is that just going to be like a massive increase? It almost doubles the budget. Or like, can we move things into other years just to be able to absorb that more easily next year? Or is there like grant money coming in for that or something?
No grants at the moment that we're aware of for that. Certainly we will be looking, for that in the future. That is just a very rough seat of the pants estimate for that. We will be working with the architect, and as I said, the focus has been on the demolition of the existing structure as the initial focus. We've told the architect what we'd like to see, which would basically be office space, some meeting space, and some space to store equipment. So the actual building, cost could be less than that. It could end up being more on that, depending on what the architect comes up with. We unfortunately, it cannot be used, that the site, the Green Acre site, cannot be used for indoor recreation. So that is not going to be an option. That is Green Acre's rules. Green Acre rules. It can be used for storage of maintenance materials. It can be used for office space for in support of the Green Acres program, the parks system, and it can be used for a minor amount of meeting space. So again, I just wanted to put that in there as that by the time next year rolls around, we should have a much better handle on what that will need to be.
And also, with regards to that same building, this is the building like next to, sort of like between the Vermeil Mansion and the community center, right?
That's correct. Yes.
So, is there any plan to upgrade or enlarge the outdoor stage that's sort of attached to that building?
Yes, we've had that discussion, and I've asked the architect to look at some options for that. Maybe a permanent type stage with perhaps permanent seating, since that is a focal point for many of our our concerts and other activities. So I would expect that would come about as a result of the final planning, for that, with some options to look at.
And then thanks, Dave. Just one other question regarding the EV chargers. I mean, I follow it sort of loosely, but I know that like the Tesla chargers all get very high marks for reliability, and then the non-Tesla chargers get like terrible marks for reliability. Is there any like quality control that you can sort of like build into the contract so that we're not stuck with like, lemon chargers that we have to then maintain, going forward once they die?
Sure. As Bryan Electric develops the options for this, that will be a matter of discussion to see what options we have for chargers. Since these are public chargers and will be out there for public use, we certainly don't want to go on the cheap with those. We want something that's durable, that's going to hold up and be reliable. The technology on that is changing all the time, and since we got the grant, I'm sure there's more history on the reliability and the usage of these. So that will definitely be a consideration.
Thanks, Dave. Nothing else.
Sure.
Thank you. Ms. Schaefer.
Yeah, just two quick questions. We had a library advisory board meeting the other day, and Liz was talking about the roof,
Mhm.
and she thought it was out to bid already, but I don't see it specifically listed under the library for the
For
roof
the
to
roof?
get. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're correct. It's not listed this year because we had appropriated $300,000 in last year's budget. So it's already been authorized for up to $300,000. We have an estimate right now of under $300,000 for that roof.
Replacement? Sorry.
I'm sorry?
Replacement?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And I was going to say that roof was replaced, what, about 10 years ago already?
I think it was
2016.
2010 or 2011, I think is when it was replaced. Yeah, it's been a bit more than that because that's one of the
Oh,
things that we're looking at, how old this roof has been. And
because just so Howard, I was looking at my emails. In 2018, Howard was able to get a couple of spots fixed because it was still under the warranty.
yes,
It made
yes.
it said something about a 2-year warranty, which made me believe that we had it done in 2016.
No, it was longer than a 2-year warranty
Okay, maybe
on
five
that.
year, whatever.
I
Yeah,
know he did did oversee some repairs in that point, but I also know that he had a very difficult time connecting with the original installer of the roof, and
right,
that was so he might have hired somebody else to do that work, which would maybe that gave a 2-year guarantee for that portion of it, but the entire that was only a partial
right.
repair. The entire roof was done, a few years before that, 2010, 2011, I think.
Is there any way to make it not a flat roof?
I would love that. I think one of the things that they are looking at is the pitch of the roof to make sure that it's properly drained.
Even if it's slanted a bit.
Yeah, and that's always a problem with the flat roofs. But
Right.
they realize that, and it does settle. It ponds, it collects, leaves get into the gutters, and that creates its own problem. Yeah, that's definitely under consideration. But yeah, why these flat roofs were designed in to begin with, I can't understand it with my mind. But that's how they do things. They did things. Yeah.
Do you think that, and I'm just throwing this out there, thinking outside the box, that we would be able to say, without cutting down trees, maybe like pitch the roof one way and then put solar panels on it to pay for its electric or something? Can we,
That's something we could certainly look at,
without cutting down trees, though?
yes, right. I think so because the side that it's facing, the sun, it would be the south side, would be the Rockview
Mhm.
Avenue side that would get most exposure to the sun.
Mhm.
And I don't think there's any trees on that side that would block that. But I know usually with solar panels, they like to insist on very new roofs before they do the installation.
Right.
But that would be a good next phase to look at solar panels for that once
Yeah,
it's
because that might help pay for the electricity, right?
right, right.
My next question is, and I love that charging station idea, but it's going to remove 24 parking spaces.
Well, that's where we're going to need to be a little bit sensitive to where they're going to be. They're not going to be removed. They could still be used as parking spaces, and but only for EVs.
Right.
And that would have to be done, judiciously so we're not just leaving those out because especially in the downtown area,
Right.
we don't want to be robbing spaces where they're very much in demand. We'll have a couple in the downtown area. We've looked at some spots north of 22 in those garden apartment areas there too, where I don't think parking would be as much of an issue if it were reserved for EVs.
Right.
Also looking at perhaps where we have setbacks from the intersection, maybe we can be a little bit creative and not lose a space, but maybe just create a space for the electric vehicles. Again, to be determined. Yeah, and I think we looked at Vermeule as a possible site, the Vermeule
Okay.
Community Center. So, and I'm not sure I don't think we had it for the library itself. Again, because that's the parking as a premium over there.
Right.
Yeah.
There's also, we have that empty space, which I never know what it is, on Greenbrook and West End on the corner,
Oh,
on
right.
the
Yeah.
south corner there. I don't know what that parking lot is supposed to be.
Yeah. I don't know how there's really that parking space is only for people using Green Acres Park in theory. It's rarely used, I know. So I don't know if that would apply there.
Yeah, because Green Acres is on the other side of the,
Yeah, where you would
there's
go
no
to.
entrance to Green Acres there,
Right,
right?
right. That's why I don't know why that parking spot lot was
Mhm.
created to begin with, but it's been there.
I'm laughing because that parking lot clearly is a parking lot, and there's signs in there that say no
No
parking.
parking.
I know. Yeah, yeah. Well, we get inspections every few years from the DEP, Green Acres people, and they had us put those signs in there because they got bent out of shape because people from the church were parking there, or from the church and the school. And
Got you.
they didn't like that because that basically you're supposed to be only using that space for using the land. Now, I don't know why
Gotcha.
anybody would park there unless they're just walking through the woods or along the brook, but they had us place those signs there.
Okay. Well, Liz will be happy, but thank you.
Yes, yeah, I'll keep her posted as we go forward. We just
Yes,
don't have
please.
anything to report at this time, but we will soon.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you. Any other questions from any other council members? Okay. I just want to see sort of just a sense of the council there. Is this okay for the administration to move forward on as is then? Okay with that? Okay. I'm seeing a unanimous nodding of heads and thumbs up and everything. So those are all signs point to yes, Mr. Holly.
Great, thank you. Appreciate the support.
Please feel free to talk to the bond council and we'll move forward with this.
Great.
Thank you very much. And I know that was a lot of detail and we appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Let me go back to the agenda here. So that's the only item of new business. There's no old business. And so that jumps us to reports of boards, committees, and commissions. So I will start with Ms. Schaefer. I know you just spoke about the Library Advisory Board. Was there anything else from them or?
Right. Well, yeah, there's a debate as to I what the purpose of the Library Advisory Board is now, since there's no money coming in. And
Just for clarification, just so everybody understands that, I think what you're referring to is that so Somerset County Library System decided a couple years ago to waive the fines if you have a late book, right? Because the libraries across the country have started to do that, and that's fine. But that's where I think some of the monies that come from. Yes, Ms. Schaefer?
where all the money came from.
Yeah, yeah, that all the money's for the Library Advisory Board. So now that that revenue stream is dried up, yes, I imagine that's become quite a conundrum. So I'm sorry to interrupt, but please continue.
No, that's okay. Thank you. So the Friends of the Library seems to be doing pretty well. So we were wondering if, well, we're talking about merging, if it's possible, if it's not possible. We know we need somebody to be the liaison between the county and the actual library, to supervise, manage, be the liaison to make sure North Plainfield's getting what it's paying for from the library system, Somerset County. So I think July 9th. Oh my God, I'm gonna get it wrong. July 9th. Yeah, my sister's birthday. They're having a little fundraiser get together at Panera. And I think the Library Advisory Board was suggested to go there and we could just chit chat with the friends of the library just to see their thoughts on it. Because it's really, we're supposed to meet 5 times a year. We barely do that. And the only thing we have, we don't have that much money now to spend. So we figured maybe we just give the money to the friends and let them do their thing with it. But I don't know how. But anyway, that's what's on the table and that's what we're discussing.
Well,
That's all.
That's all
Nothing else.
important. That's important stuff. Thanks for. Please keep us posted on that. What decision? So I imagine the county library system is going to have to be consulted. We'll probably have to talk to our lawyers, and just make sure. Hey, if it decides that you guys decide to sunset it, and if that's legal to do, and give the money to somebody. I mean, that's there's going to be probably some consultations involved, and So please keep us posted because that's a lot of important stuff.
Yeah, I know PPAC Gladstone did it, and there's another town
Oh,
that
good.
did it. They could, combine them together. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a body whose sole source of revenue is library fines and fees, and that is no longer the reality of the situation,
Right.
what are you to do? You know?
Exactly. Exactly. And we have to get the county to pay for more. There's things that Crystal and other librarians had us pay for that we shouldn't have been paying for, that the county should have.
Okay.
But nobody wants to make waves, I'll do it. I don't have a problem making waves.
Well,
anyway.
and two, I don't want to speak for anybody, but we do have a resident from the borough who had been on the library advisory board, who's now on the county library advisory,
Yes.
committee or commission or whatever
Mhm.
they are. And that hopefully bodes well for us in the future,
Hopefully.
specifically to what you just spoke about right then.
Yes.
So fingers crossed. So,
Yes.
all right, well,
So
thanks for that update. Anything else? Any other committees or anything? No? Okay.
no,
Uh,
I'm good.
right. Thank you.
Thanks.
No, thank you. Ms. Gibbon.
Nothing to report at this time. Thank you.
Thanks. Ms. Corzo?
Just happy to report that the planning board is going to meet on Wednesday in person to discuss, so the subcommittees can discuss their master plan reports. So I'll have more to report next time. But since I had complained to the whole council, I just wanted to tell them that yes, we are meeting on Wednesday.
Good.
Great, that's good news. Thanks. Ms. Miller?
Nothing at this time, thank you.
Okay. Mr. McIntyre?
Nothing right now for me, thanks.
Okay. In that case, is there a motion to adjourn this meeting so we can go into the next one?
Motion to
Motion
adjourn?
to adjourn.
Motion made by Ms. Miller. Is there a second on that?
Second.
Second by Ms. Gibbon. All in favor of adjourning the agenda conference, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any objections or abstentions? All right. In that case, there were none, so it's unanimous. I'm going to adjourn this meeting and call the next one. Well, before I call the next one to order, does anyone need a 5-minute break? Okay, we'll go right into the next one then. I'm going to call our regular meeting to order. And for the record, Ms. Sherwood, please let it, and just check the waiting room if you would. All right. And for the record, please let it show that all 6 council members who were in attendance at the agenda conference are in attendance again. Mr. Merrill is still excused. It's absent excused. And we do have a quorum, so we can conduct business. And the statement of compliance is this is a meeting of the council of the Borough of North Plainfield scheduled by resolution of the council adopted on November 10th, 2025. Adequate notice of this meeting was given pursuant to NJSA 10:4-6 et sec. By transmitting said notice to the Borough of North Plainfield's website and to the Courier News on November 24th, 2025. And by posting a copy of this notice on the bulletin boards reserved for such purpose in the municipal building and in the public library. First action item is approval of the council meeting minutes the last time we met. And that I believe is Tuesday, May 26th. And it's an agenda conference and a regular meeting that night. So it's 2 sets of minutes. May we have a roll call on those, please?
You make, council members Corzo,
Yes to both.
Gibbon,
Yes to both.
McIntyre,
Yes to both.
Miller,
Yes to both.
Schaefer,
You were
Schaefer.
muted, Wendy.
Yes to all.
thank you, and Council President Stabile.
Yes,
So we have 6 in favor, none opposed.
thank you.
Thank you.
The first resolution, it belongs to Mr. McIntyre.
This is resolution number 06-22-26-01, Borough of North Plainfield, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey. Be it resolved by the Borough Council of North Plainfield that an ordinance numbered 26-10 be read by its title by the Borough Clerk and be passed on its first reading as advertised as required by statute, fixing July 13th, 2026 at 7:30 p.m. or as soon thereafter as the matter can be heard as the time in the North Plainfield Council Chambers, 263 Somerset Street, North Plainfield, New Jersey, or Zoom as the place for hearing and final adoption. I so move.
Second.
This item is moved by Vice President McIntyre and seconded by Ms. Gibbon. Before we do a roll call, I just want to say very, very quickly, my wife just came in and told me, since we're visiting her parents and it's raining like cats and dogs where we are, there is a chance that, as you have seen in the past, when there's a storm here, I may wink out of existence. So if that happens, Steve, the meeting is yours until I can come back, assuming I can. But right now, this has been moved and seconded, so let's go for a roll call on this item, please.
Council members Corzo,
Yes.
Gibbon,
Yes.
McIntyre,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Schaefer,
Yes.
and Council President Stabile.
Yes.
6 in favor, none opposed.
Yay.
Thank you. And may we have a reading of the title, please, when you have a moment.
Sure. Introduction of ordinance number 26-10. Ordinance of the Borough of North Plainfield amending, revising, and supplementing Chapter 22 entitled Land Development, more specifically Chapter 22-115 entitled General Provisions, to add a new Chapter 22-115.34 entitled Data Centers.
Excellent. Thank you. And the next resolution belongs to Ms. Miller, please.
Thank you. Resolution number 06-22-26-02, Borough of North Plainfield, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey. Be it resolved by the Borough Council of North Plainfield that an ordinance numbered 26-11 be read by its title by the Borough Clerk and be passed on its first reading and advertised as required by statute, fixing July 13, 2026 at 7:30 p.m. or as soon thereafter as the matter can be heard, as the time and the North Plainfield Council Chambers, 263 Somerset Street, North Plainfield, New Jersey, or Zoom as the place for hearing and final adoption. I so move.
Second.
Item is moved by Ms. Miller, seconded by Ms. Corzo. May we have a roll call, please?
Council members Corzo,
Yes.
Gibbon,
Yes.
McIntyre,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Schaefer,
Yes.
and Council President Stabile.
Yes.
We have 6 in favor and none opposed.
Thank you. And when you are ready, may we have a reading of the title, please?
This is introduction of ordinance number 26-11, an ordinance to amend, revise, and supplement Chapter 7 of the Borough Code entitled Traffic, most notably Section 7-4.1 entitled Trucks Over 4 Tons excluded from certain streets, and Chapter 7A of the Borough Code entitled Traffic Schedules, most notably Schedule 6 entitled Trucks Over 4 Tons.
Great. Thank you. And the next one belongs to Ms. Gibbon.
Resolution number 06-22-26-03, Borough of North Plainfield, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey. Be it resolved by the Borough Council of North Plainfield that an ordinance number 26-12 be read by its title by the Borough Clerk and be passed on its first reading and advertised as required by statute, fixing July 13th, 2026 at 7:30 p.m. or as soon thereafter as the matter can be heard, as the time in North Plainfield Council Chambers, 263 Somerset Street, North Plainfield, New Jersey, or Zoom as the place for hearing and final adoption. I so move.
Second.
Item is moved by Ms. Gibbon, seconded by Mr. McIntyre. May we have a roll call, please?
Council members Corzo,
Yes.
Gibbon,
Yes.
McIntyre,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Schaefer,
Yes.
and Council President Stabile.
Yes.
That is 6 in favor and none opposed.
Thank you. And when you are ready, may we have a reading of that title as well?
You may. It is introduction of ordinance number 26-12, an ordinance opposing unlawful enforcement tactics utilized by Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, U.S. Customs and Border Protection, CBP, and any other federal agency in conducting civil immigration enforcement activities, and prohibiting ICE, CBP, and other federal agencies from using Borough of North Plainfield property for conducting civil immigration enforcement activities.
Thank you.
You're
And
welcome.
that now brings us to the consent agenda. All matters listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items. If any discussion is desired by council, that particular item will be removed and from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. Does any council member have any questions regarding any item on the consent agenda? Okay. Does any council member wish to remove any item from the consent agenda for separate vote? Okay. Very good. In that case, Ms. Schaefer, the consent agenda belongs to you.
Thank you. Resolution number 06-22-26-04. Borough of North Plainfield, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey. Be it resolved by the Council of the Borough of North Plainfield that resolutions numbered 06-22-26-04A through P having been placed on the consent agenda and there having been no objection thereto, the same are hereby approved. I so move.
Second.
Consent agenda is moved by Ms. Schaefer, seconded by Ms. Given. May we have a roll call on the consent agenda, please?
Council members Corzo,
Yes.
Given,
Yes.
McIntyre,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Schaefer,
Yes.
and Council President Stabile.
Yes.
So we have 6 in favor and none opposed.
Excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome.
If you have an agenda in front of you, you have a list then. You see a list of the official communications we've received as a governing body since the last time we met. There are no reports. So does any council member have any requests for agenda items, anything they haven't asked for yet? Is there anything additional? Okay, again, as always, if you think of something between now and the next time we meet, let me know. And the same for the administration, of course. And that now brings us to public comment. If any member of the public wishes to make any, Ms. Schaefer?
That's okay. I just wanted to find out, could we discuss surveys for the Greenbrook Park area?
You mean like property surveys?
Yes, between the, along with Stony Brook over there, West End Avenue to the school, to the brook.
For
like
that, I'm
Stony
going to punt. I'm going to punt to Mr. Howard on that one. I know we talked about, we touched on that recently, and I don't know if there's any follow-up on that. Mr. Howard, I'm going to turn to you and ask you for a lifeline here.
I'm sorry, I'm not familiar. What was the request to do surveys in that area along the Greenbrook?
Yeah, to find out who owns what between Greenbrook and the Stony Brook on the West End side. I'm sorry, on the west side, I guess you would say. And then even that little pond area that's over there across the street from Greenbrook.
Right, you're talking about the actual ownership of the properties that where they're lying. You could, I mean, that is reflected in our tax maps, which you can see online. You'll see that some properties go to the top of the brook. Others, depending on how the deeds are written, go to the center of the brook. That basically should be reflected in there. If there's a particular property, usually our engineer would look into that and maybe pull the deed on it to see.
Well, I'll tell you, because some of it says it's school property, but yet and then it says it's owned by Union County. So like there's signs up there, right, Steve? It says it's Greenbrook, it's owned by, it's school zone, but it's not. You look it up, it's owned by Greenbrook. I mean, it's owned by Union County.
It is actually owned by Union County. There, and again, the tax maps would show that. It's a little hard to tell the tax maps versus what's actually out in the field, but there is a section. Usually, because we always each year when we had the fireworks, we would request that they allow us on their property, so that at a certain point behind the field, it becomes Union County property. And again, that is spelled out on the tax maps, and you'll be able to see what properties are there. I think it's actually on 2 different sheets. You'd have to kind of, look at them together, splice them together. But it is clearly marked. And unlike the property that we reacquired, that is actually deeded over to Union County, and has been. I don't know when that took place. Probably 100 years ago or more.
The property we acquired is deeded to Union County?
No, that remained, the title remained in North Plainfield.
In North Plainfield, right.
Yeah, so when the term of the lease expired, we just reclaimed that as ours.
Right.
We always own that. But what you're referring to is actually property that is owned in fee outright by the I think it might have been Union County Parks Commission at one time or something else, but it's not ours, unfortunately. And that extends all the way over, I believe, to Clinton and maybe over as far as Rock Avenue. And that's indicated on the tax maps.
Would we ever try to get it back?
Um,
I don't know if there was a reason to,
yeah,
except for flood mitigation, right?
I don't know the history there. It's parkland and it's also floodplain, so it's not likely to ever be developed to any great extent. But that would be a policy decision of the town whether or not we would want to ask them for that back.
I'm just wondering if like the Army Corps of Engineers would have any um, say as to what happens to that property. If they want to build a wall, then what side of the Green Brook or Stony Brook would the
Yeah,
wall get built on or something?
yeah,
So that's why I was asking, right? And
yeah.
then who I wanted to know who owns the I can never get a straight answer. Who owns the property? Who owns that little pond that has been destroyed right over the bridge?
By Clinton Avenue, you're referring
Oh,
to?
no, West End.
Or West End Avenue. That I believe is Union County. Yeah.
Could we find that out?
Yeah. Again, I would refer you to the tax maps. I'll take a look at
I
it myself.
Yeah,
The
Dave,
tax maps are online. You can go to the website and see the actual tax maps.
I know, but I don't know I don't know what is it, lot and block number or something I'm looking at. I don't It doesn't have an address.
Well, you would see that it would show the lot and block number on the tax maps. For the
Okay.
ownership information, that would have to be looked up in our tax office.
Ms. Schaefer, we actually did look that up and it is part of Union County. It is
Oh, it
their
is. We don't
responsibility.
own it.
No,
It's not our,
no, because
is
last time
it,
when you asked the last time, me and Dave looked through the maps and we found that it was Union County property.
okay, can I ask, is it in North Plainfield and owned by Union County?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's not, I mean, that's not typical, but it's not like it's never happened. There are several towns. I know my own town owns land in Bridgewater that's used for recreational purposes. It's in the border of the neighboring town, but it is Somerville's property.
Right, because there's a bunch of people that are in an uproar about how these areas are kept.
Yeah, yeah.
And so they have to go after Union County. They can't come after us.
Well, here's an interesting, it's my question, so of course I think it's an interesting question. But piggybacking on that, what Ms. Schaefer just came up with, does the borough have any let's say this pond is in terrible shape and there's litter and there's a car engine sitting in it or something. Can the borough of North, just for example, I'm not saying that's the case, but does the borough of North Plainfield have any enforcement power over another jurisdiction holding, because if it were privately held, we would be able to send a property maintenance officer over and say, hey, you can't be doing this here. Do we have any enforcement power? Like if Somerville wasn't taking care of its fields, could Bridgewater Township send an enforcement officer in and say, hey, this is a mess over here? Do we have any leverage? I don't know if that's for the administration or for Mr. Hack, but does a town would we have any authority in a situation like that? Could that be the remedy instead of falling on our knees and begging Union County Parks Commission to revitalize this pond or something?
Good
Do
thought.
we have any muscle in a situation like this?
Good thought.
I will tell you, Council President, that we have Dave Tester and Dave Holland have reached out to Union County on numerous occasions and complained not just about the pond, but also the stretch of land over on Parkview, over on the west end. And we get no response back. So I don't know if we have any authority. That would definitely be a question for Mr. Hack and for Mr. Bernstein to see if there's anything we can do to put pressure on them. But I will tell the council, we have asked, we have tried to get them to clean it up, and it pretty much goes on deaf ear. We don't even get a response.
And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to give the impression. My question did not presuppose that nothing was being done. I mean,
I
I
know
think
that. I understand that. I'm just
yeah.
letting you know that, yes, we have reached out, we have
Thank you.
asked,
Thank you.
and just like they treated the park, the reason we took the park back is they really don't care. I
Yeah.
hate to use that term, but they don't.
But if
Well,
we can fine them,
yeah.
take them to
So
court,
Well, that's why
or
I
if
said
we
we
can
need
take
to
over
check
the
with.
property as eminent
Right. Just
domain.
seize it. Exactly.
well. So for the answer, since he's sitting with
Well,
us, why don't we
there's
turn
a
it
few
over to Mr.
different-
Hack?
there's a
Mr.
Of
couple
Hack,
of
course, but
do
I
you have
think
any
that
more
Part of
that's
the
different
what,
issues,
revolution.
Skip, I think that that's what you were looking for. You weren't
Yeah,
saying
but
nothing
before we
should be
send our
done.
armed police officers in to seize the property and take it back as part of the revolution, do we have any other methods available to it at our disposal, Mr. Hack?
Yeah. There's a couple of issues. First of all, you can't take by eminent domain property that's owned by a higher level of government. That's a county government. What I believe you can do is cite them for violations, but I'll have to take a look at that and get back to you. But I'll research and I'll let you know.
I appreciate that. You know, if the honey doesn't work, at some point you need to turn to the vinegar, I think. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
all
Or
right.
the
Well, thanks.
chainsaw.
Please keep us posted.
I have a slightly related question that I was wondering if we could take a look at. Are there still things in the creek from the last flooding? Like there was doors from cars and there were, are we looking at any way of getting that stuff out of the creek so it doesn't continue to be a problem or exacerbate the problems that we're already having by having those things in the creek?
I know over by Brook Avenue, there's a lot of garbage and behind by Sycamore, but that's all Plainfield, if I'm not mistaken. Right? But
Brook
there's
Avenue, yes.
nothing, I don't think in Stony Brook except for shale. There's too much shale.
Yeah.
And we need somebody to go in there with the bulldozer and just do it. Don't ask for permission. Just do it.
Well,
But
with
other than the
regard to
shale, we don't
larger-
have anything stuck in there.
Not that I know of, not on the
Okay.
Stony Brook, right? Steve, you would know, right?
Yeah, I haven't been over there lately, but yeah, I mean, it just looks like it's mostly just like stones and it's all filled. I mean, there's very little depth to that stream now.
It's shale, yeah. And but over behind on Brook and Brook Avenue, the Greenbrook sometimes has a lot. Right over by Sycamore, on the Plainfield side, people just must have construction businesses and just throw the stuff in the Green Brook.
Yeah.
I know I follow on social media, and I can't think of the name of the organization right now, but there are a couple like the Upper Raritan Watershed Association and the Stream Team or something like that. And again, I'm playing fast and loose with names, but there are organizations that do stream cleanups, and I don't know. I would say do it in conjunction with the municipality in that area. So I don't know what boxes they check or who they get permission from, other than that. But I follow one in particular on social media, and they have done brook cleanups and stream cleanups in our immediate area. They've done the Stony Brook, or rather the Greenbrook, sorry, over in Greenbrook and in Denell and in Middlesex, like in our immediate area. So
Steve and I did it with them.
what's that?
Yeah, that was like the NJ Green team.
Okay, yeah, that might be one of them. And that might be an organization we can reach out to as well, because or to come back, because it sounds like they sort of know what they're doing. They know maybe they have some sort of permits ready to go. I don't know, but that might be some, work with sort of a quasi or a non-governmental organization in a process like that, at least in certain places or certain stretches of the brook. It's just a thought. I don't know.
Yeah.
We worked with the litter pickers. Is it New Jersey litter
New
pickers?
Jersey
right?
litter pickers. That's another one.
And
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, you name a time, you name a place where you want to go and you want to clean, and you post it out there and people show up.
Yeah,
The only organization that we did right with the Stony Brook was ask Mayor Laron, which he did. If we collected the garbage, would he be able to remove it? Get rid of it once we put it in bags and stuff. Right. And we had a lot of stuff that we just got out of that little section of the Stony Brook. But yeah, you could go on there and say, for Wendy's birthday, I want to clean up Greenbrook on Brook, and people show up and do it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you for dropping the hint, Ms. Schaefer. We appreciate
Yep.
that. The gift certificate.
And it's in February, right? It's too
Oh,
cold.
We'll have to do it in August or something instead. All right. Well, no, these are good.
Cat's birthday.
These are good questions, and I mean, and we know that they, they contributed to these snags and stuff. They contributed to flooding problems last year. And here's a day where a lot of rain came down. I mean, these are legitimate, good questions, and they're questions that we're not pointing fingers at anybody. We're scratching our heads, going, "What do we do? Who do we turn to?" So this is really good. All right, and that's something we can put on for a future agenda too. Like, who do we reach? Let's have a conversation. Who do we reach out to? Who's a good organization? Who's, did we reach out to somebody and say, no, you're out of our jurisdiction. We don't help with that. We can't help with that. But this is actually sort of a roundabout way. This is a good topic for a future meeting.
Yeah, agreed.
And I know Mayor LaRonde had agreed, I think at a previous meeting, I had said something about, hey, can we have maybe Deputy Chief DiPaolo come in July or maybe even August and do sort of a looking back a year after last year's floods, how did that go? Where was the room for improvement? Assuming maybe there was or wasn't, I don't know. And, looking ahead, what can we do the same? What can we do differently? And that might sort of tie in indirectly with that larger conversation. So thank you.
Sounds good.
Any other requested agenda items from council? Okay. In that case, let me get back to my agenda. My phone just shut off. Didn't shut off, but we now go to public comment. The format is this: if anybody desires to make any public comment, please let us know that you have a desire to do so, and the floor will be yours. For that time, you'll have up to 5 minutes for your comment, and the format we request of you is this. Please give us your name, please spell your last name for us, and please give us your address. And again, everyone wishing to speak has up to 5 minutes for that purpose. And in theory, public comment could last up to a total of 30 minutes. And Ms. Sherwood, just making sure there's no one else waiting, right? Okay. All right, going once, going twice, gone. Closing public comment portion of the meeting, now turning it over to the mayor, the administrator, and to us for our own comments. Mr. Holland, starting with you, sir. Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, Mayor LaRonde, I apologize. Sorry.
Not a problem. Actually, just two quick reminders. The summer concerts are starting this Thursday at 7 o'clock. And also Community Day on July 11th, starting at 6 with our band and the drone show. That's all.
Cool. Very nice. Thank you. Ms. Schaefer you're on mute, Ms. Schaefer.
July 11th.
Yes, it's the Saturday after the 4th.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Holland.
No, thank you, Council President. I think I'm good for now. Thank you.
You did enough earlier. Thank you. All right. In that case, Ms. Schaefer, back to you.
Nothing at this time.
Okay. Ms. Gibbon.
I just want to say that with the proclamation this evening and both of those ordinances that we passed this evening that are dealing with our current issues that are really causing a lot of problems or concerns for people in our area, I just really want to say I appreciate how forward thinking, and I appreciate that what we're able to do for the town. And I thank everybody for kind of keeping your mind open and thinking about those things and making sure that we're a town who represents everybody. Really, really appreciate it.
Thank you for those words. Thank you. Well said. Ms. Corzo.
Couple of things. I was a little disappointed to see that there were no Latin concerts this year. What happened to the Spanish band?
The prices that they were charging us were not within our budget.
And there was nobody else that you looked at?
Joe looked at a couple, and again, they were all outside the budget that we could afford for concerts.
Okay. And the second thing I want to ask is, unless I missed something, or what's happening with that ordinance that we tabled for the mechanics repair shop? Is it being worked on, or are we supposed to be talking about certain, features in it? What's happening? Because that was
So
last month.
So as a matter of fact, I received an email today from a gentleman, he's on the meeting with us now. I'm not going to open the floor to public comment, that time's passed, but Mr. Fialos is the sort of representative for the mechanics groups. He spoke last time and he's going to kind of carry the water for them. So he had emailed me. I reached out to him a few weeks ago and confirmed, hey, would you be the sort of spokesperson for the group? It's at this point I'm traveling. It's going to be easier instead of trying to set up a meeting and we don't have to worry about sunshine laws. Just send emails back and forth. So he agreed to that, and he sent today an sort of an update from their perspective, the mechanics perspective, what they would like to see change in our ordinance. So the first step was, out of deference for Ms. Schaefer, I sent it to her and Vice President McIntyre and to Mr. Hack for them to look at first and pick apart, agree with, disagree with, whatever, and then come back to the drawing table as a whole, because there may be some parts of what they're requesting that are completely objectionable to the council, or it's like, hey, that's great, that's fine, we can live with that suggested change. But again, out of deference to Ms. Schaefer, because this was her baby, so to speak, I gave it to her first and copied Brian and Steve on it. So that happened this afternoon. So this will likely be on the agenda at the next meeting. But it's not that it hasn't been worked on, but it's sort of like we came to them, they did their thing, came to us today, and now we're going to do our thing, and then we'll have a public conversation about it at the next meeting. So
Okay, thank you. Appreciate
no,
the
not at all.
update.
And of course, we're doing this with a mind to the fact that if something passes, whatever form, shape, or form it takes, and if there is an annual inspection still associated with that, because that was part of the original proposal. So let's assume that may still in fact happen. We know that we need some months to get this up and running. So I'm not looking to drag this out until November and then try and get this up and running by February or something. So we are aware no one's breathing down our necks, but there is somewhat of a clock ticking in the background. So we're aware of that.
Right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Ms. Miller.
Nothing at the moment, thank you.
Okay. Mr. McIntyre.
So I don't know, Larry didn't mention this, but there was a really good ribbon cutting ceremony on Saturday at the at Green Acres Park for the rededicated, I guess, rebuilt basketball courts, and there's 4 new pickleball courts there. They look fantastic. There's a huge turnout by rec. There were like 2 teams that were playing that played a basketball game against each other. There was representatives from the high school pickleball team that were there to, and they did like a clinic for people who wanted to learn how to play pickleball. They played themselves on the new courts. It was just a really good turnout, beautiful facilities. Just like, cheers to the administration and to rec for getting that done. And also just like unrelated, I really appreciate the respect and the acknowledgement of the pride of June being Pride Month and the reading of the Pride Proclamation. I feel very welcomed and, comforted being, on the council with you guys. So thank you for that. Nothing else.
Thank you. Thank you. Touching upon something Ms. Gibbons spoke about, and thank you all. I want to thank you all for your support for particularly the 2 measures that we voted on. 2 of the larger measures we voted on tonight, larger in my mind anyway, and one of them being the data centers. I follow on social media with great attention. Let's be honest. At some point in my life, when I'm older, I may start to vacation more, retire somewhere else. Carol likes rural areas. So I've started to pay attention to certain parts of the country. And one of them is up in New Hampshire, where I like to spend time, and down in southwestern Virginia, where some of you have heard me talk about. I have an uncle who I'm very close with, who was a Christmas tree farmer, now retired, and down in the Blue Ridge Mountains. And so I pay attention. I follow certain towns on social media in those 2 parts of the country, and some other places too, and in New Jersey as well. Following towns on social media in New Jersey is more to keep abreast of what's going on in neighboring communities and see how they do things. But one thing I'm really starting to see is issues with data centers and towns and counties and communities being, and I hate the word, I feel it's overused, but I feel it's appropriate in this instance, taking proactive measures to push back against them, because I really believe that they are bad news. I know that artificial intelligence, I'm not a fan of it in general. That I know it can be used to hopefully, come up with a cure for cancer, the cure for the common cold, et cetera, et cetera. But I very firmly feel, and I know I said this to Ms. Gibbon the other day, that most people are using artificial intelligence to go on Facebook and make themselves look like a weightlifter, or or make their cat or dog look like a knight in shining armor, or a princess from medieval times, or something like really, really foolish, pointless stuff. No offense to any of you if you've done that. I haven't, but no offense to any of you. And so I just think these things are bad news, really bad news. And I'm really thankful for your support, at least as far as tonight. Hopefully that will continue when we continue with this measure. But and I wish I could claim credit for this, but I can't. But I saw what I thought from that perspective, from that viewpoint of the argument, or what I thought was really, really witty. I saw somewhere on social media somebody said the only data center I want in my town is a library.
It's a library.
And I am an absolute lockstep with that. I firmly believe that. So I want to thank you all for your support on that measure this evening, and Brian for drafting it, and for Suzette for reading it. And hopefully we will continue with that next time and have the same level of support. So thank you.
Thank you.
In the meantime, that's it from me, and I guess from all of us. So is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
And second?
Second.
All right, motion made by Ms. Miller, seconded, I think it was by Ms. Gibbon. All in favor of adjourning this meeting, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any objections or abstentions? All right, there are none, so it was unanimous. We are adjourned. Everybody, thank you for your time tonight.
Thank
Good
you.
night, everyone.
Aye.
Good night, everyone.
Take care.
Buenas noches.
Boa noite. Ciao.